All right. This is Founder Laerun. I'm going to be doing some line of sight, which is going to be dealing with outside. I checked my maps and I found out that I had actually done the wrong map. So if you watched this the other day, it is because it is the same map, but I did not do the correct one. So I'm going to have to redo it, but I don't mind it because it's good practice, and there's a couple things I want to do a little differently. So this will be a good opportunity for me to change my tactics and to show you guys how to use the tools. I am also learning how to use the tools, so I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I have a better handle on it each time I use the tools. So anyhow, sit back and enjoy, and if you have any questions, leave them in the chat, and I will answer them as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and start placing some line of sight on the buildings. And these buildings are outside. There's no indoor representation right now because they're each building separate except for the barn. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to use terrain. This in case you go up on the rooftop or something like that. And then for the water here, I'm going to put a water effect and I'm going to make this a pit, so on and so forth. So I'm going to start with that just so you guys can see how cool this is. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this and make sure that the map is unlocked and I am in the, now I switched it over to line of sight tool. Right now I already have a snow effect going. So I'm going to go ahead and make a folder. And I'm going to call this weather effects. And then I'm going to drag the snow into there. And for the time being, I'm going to turn the snow off. And I'm doing that just so I don't have to fight with it when I'm trying to line things up. I'm going to go ahead and focus on this area. That's the pool of water. Now this is going to have several effects on it. The first thing I'm going to do is create a pit effect after I do the water. So first I'm going to draw the water effect on here. I'm not going to go right up to the edge of this. I'm going to go down here and stay inside the water a little bit more. And I'm going to add another effect in here too. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new folder. And I'm just going to call this Hot Springs, because that's what all this is going to deal with. Okay, so I'm going to go to Effects, and I'm going to add an effects layer first. So there is the effects layer, nothing assigned yet. And I'm going to click Effects, and I'm going to choose one. This one's going to be a water effect. So I'm going to go ahead and add water. And as you can see, it covers this whole map. You don't want that. So you're going to put a mask on it, because at this point, once you have this layer, you can put this mask on there. And if you want to, you could double click on here, and you have water effect now. Then what I'm going to do is, now that I have the mask, I'm going to unmask the area that I want to show. So I'm going to go ahead and start unmasking this area in here where all the blue is, basically. And the grid is already on here, but I think it's still a little bit too obnoxious. So I'm going to go to the color picker, and I'm actually going to turn down the opacity a little bit. That way, it's still on there, but it's not as bright. Okay, so that is just an adjustment. So now I'm going to go back to the line of sight, and I'm working in the water. And now I want to go to the effects layer where I was working before. And then I'm going to go to reveal area. And I'm just going to reveal the area that I want to show in the water. So go ahead and do that now. And I have to hit the Alt key. And as you can tell, it just shows this area. Now it's a little bit wobbly in here, a little bit too much. So I'm going to turn the droplets down. And then I'm going to turn the speed down a little bit and the intensity. You have to have some ripples in there. There we go. So it's got a little ripple effect to it. And that's nice and subtle, so it kind of has that wavy thing. There we go. Put that up just a touch. Okay. So now if you wanted to add like bubbles or, fizzy type stuff, you could add the ocean effect, and that puts distortion in there. All right, so that's pretty much all I'm going to need there. Like I said, if you want to add more to it, you can. I think I will add a little bit of that fizziness. So fizziness is going to come with the ocean effect. So right now I have the effects for water. I just drug that into the hot springs area. Now I'm going to add another effect, and this is going to be the distorted ocean effect. And then you see it kind of makes things blurry, like it's moving. So what I'm going to do now is add a mask that blocks it all out. And then I'm on the reveal area tool. And now I'm only going to reveal the areas that I want to show with that kind of simmering water effect. So again, I'm going to hold the Alt key and I'm going to just freehand it. And I'm going to draw it like a big, kind of like a ring around here. So Control Z gets rid of it. So I'm going to redraw that. So my intention wasn't to do it like that. So I want to try again. Practice. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this area in here in the very center. Okay, so I just added some distortion and some waves in the water. And now I'm going to add some steam coming up. Okay. Let's see. Now I think I'm going to draw the pit area. So again, I'm going to go to line of sight mode and pit, and I'm going to draw the pit tool. I'm going to hold the control key or the alt key. And as you can see, I didn't have this area quite right, so I can go to the selection mode and fix some of this. Okay, so this is the outline for the pit. This actually comes further in, so I'm going to fix that too. There we go. Now, if you turn on the line of sight mode and you put something in here, what'll happen is whoever's inside this pool can't see out. So that makes sense because it's like a wall of like cliff here. And this is a hot tub or basically a natural hot spring. And now I'm just going to do the line of sight on here, but I'm going to use the actual terrain tool. And there's the snow. So I'll turn that off again. All right. So I'm on the line tool in terrain, and I'm going to be drawing the outside of this building first. So all you have to do is plot a point as close as you can, doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just going to plot the points out. And I'm using the arrow key to push the map around. At the end point, you double click, and that gets you out of the editing mode. So right now, all I'm doing is just outlining the building. And then if you're worried about where the points are, you can actually go in after the fact. So you want to go ahead and click the select mode, and you can finely adjust the point. So you can adjust accordingly. Okay. So I'm just going through and tightening up the points. Okay. Yeah, that's good enough. I went through and I tightened up points. So that's the building. And I think I'm going to call it there. So I went ahead and I made the pool. And I'm going to do the rest of the buildings, which is very similar to this. And then I'm going to do the snow bank up here, this building, the dog kennel, which is actually really simple. You just take the square rectangle tool and you can plot it. And let's just say you didn't want it like that. So you can take these points and adjust them by going into the select mode. Okay, so that's that. And then for this, I'm just going to make another, basically a square. Then you just go in and adjust it. Piece of cake. So there's the snow. And then I need to adjust this. This is actually a covered carport area. It's just a walkway between these two buildings. It's outside, but it's in an area where they can go back and forth without getting dumped on by snow or rain. Doesn't really rain up here. If it's any precipitation, it's going to be snow. So it keeps the snow off the people that are walking back and forth. There's a dog kennel. All right, so that's that. So I'm going to lock it for right now. If you went to play mode, you turn on line of sight. And as you can see, the snow is actually outside of this. So what you would do is, first I'm going to add the character. Oops. So I need to add it to the combat tracker first. There we go. And that's how this works. You can't see outside because this is a pit. And this, so that's basically how that goes. And then the snow should not be running around outside here. So what I'm going to do is go to the weather effects, go to the snow, go to effects up here, select snow, add a mask, and then I'm going to select this whole area to reveal. So I'm going to go to the reveal area, and then I'm just going to draw this. So there we go. That keeps all the effects inside the map area. All right, so there we go. So when I come back, later today, or when I got time, I'm going to just finish the buildings off and do the snowbank here, and that should be about it. So until next time, you guys, take care.